If you don't plan, you're planning to fail. So let's talk a little bit about planning. Hey, ScouterStan. You know, planning is a big part of scouting. Whether you're a pack, a troop, a crew, doesn't matter. You need to plan. Because if you're not making a plan, you're planning to fail. So making a good plan is very important. Now, when you're dealing with a Cub Scout pack, you're dealing with just the adults. Now, when you're dealing with a troop or a crew, you're dealing with the youth and the young adults in a crew. As far as planning, it's just a matter of getting together, making it a planning conference, and that usually takes about a day. You don't want to rush this. You're planning on an entire year of program, and you want to make sure you cover all the bases. Now, coming up with a really good plan is the critical part of this whole thing. Now, typically, once the plan has been made, it's approved by the committee, and then they go about developing a budget from that. So there's many things that need to be considered when making your plan. It's recommended to make it an all-day seminar, especially with the youth in a troop or crew situation. Make it an all-day thing where they can actually bring a sack lunch or maybe even chip in for pizza, something of that nature. Have morning activities. As far as the planning is concerned, have a break, then do the lunch. You want to get them up, moving around, kind of exercising. Seminars can be very lengthy, especially when you're dealing with youth and you're planning on an entire year. Try to wrap things up in the afternoon so they can, finish their plan. It could be broken up into several meetings or seminars, but this kind of breaks the momentum. Once you get a momentum on planning out a year, you want to complete it. So go ahead and do it as a one-day thing. It's a lot easier, and then you're not dealing with attendance because the people that were there at the beginning may not be there in other meetings. So it's best to have it as one big meeting. Get it done. You want to tell participants to come with new ideas. Don't try to redo the same thing you did year after year. You want to do something new. You got to keep the interest going. And there's a lot to be done. Camporees, campouts, all the different activities. There's always service projects. There are a ton of things that can be talked about for planning out your year. So come with an open mind and make sure you invite as many of the youth and young adults as you can. Tell them to bring flyers, all kinds of even links to things on the internet that they're interested in. You want them to come with ideas and make sure that they bring something to write on and something to write with. That way they can take notes as the meeting progresses and come back to things that have to be tabled temporarily so that you can get more information. So you want to keep that momentum going. When you get started with your meeting, you want to make sure that you have certain critical things there to help you plan out without going over something that's important. One of the most critical things is the school schedule, whether it be the middle school, the high school, the county, private schools, all of the things that are directly related with your unit. If your youth are committed to a school schedule, you want to have it there. That's critical. In addition to that, you're going to need the district and even the council calendar so that you know what's going on within the council and the district. When is the district camporee? When is the district's fundraising events? When are they going to be doing wood badge? Those kinds of things are very important, especially if you're relying on your adult leaders and they're tied up with that. So these are things you need to have at your planning meeting. a copy of JTE, Journey to Excellence. I'm going to put a link down below in the description of the video or the podcast. I'm going to put it in the description, a link for JTE, Journey to Excellence, for packs, troops, and crews. Make sure that everybody gets a copy. This is the roadmap towards success in your unit. And as that, it should be considered when you're looking at planning your year. In addition to all of this, you need to have a few years of your past calendar. Now, if you're a brand new unit, you may your mentor of the unit may have other troops or other packs calendars to share, so that you get an idea of what needs to be planned. With a planning seminar like this, you're going to need an agenda, and the following items should be on that agenda. Try to plan it so that the majority of the year is kind of roughed out before lunch. So you may need to start this earlier in the day. Make an agenda of the meeting. And the agenda should be very simple. Try to get most of the points done early on and then fine-tune them after the break or lunch. And that way you can kind of formulate a really good, intensive plan for a year. Make sure that you have a big event or camping every single month. This is critical to each month of the year. If you're in a pack, typically you go by the school schedule, and the summertime you want to make sure that you put at least one event in each month so that the connections are maintained over the long summer. That's critical for a pack. With a troop, you have summer camp. This is the meeting where you decide whether or not you're going to the local camp, or you're maybe going out of state, or you might do both. That's totally possible. Another big thing not to forget is membership. Membership recruiting is year-round. And when we're dealing with a troop or a pack or a crew, it's important that we make an effort each month to do something towards recruitment. That's critical to keeping the unit alive with new scouts. Very, very important. Of course, every meeting, whether it be a pack meeting, a den meeting, a troop meeting, a crew meeting, those all need to be on the schedule. Most troops, most packs, most crews have a night each week that they meet. In addition to this, you want to make sure that all of your leadership is recognized for all of their hard work and support and everything that they do for your success, in addition to rank advancement, in addition to achievements that are done during the year. So you need to plan at least 4 courts of honor if you're with a troop or a crew, and then pack meetings every month. You want to recognize all of the cubs to make sure that they are recognized immediately. That's important for character development. You want to not only do that at the den meeting, you want to do it at the pack meeting. It's okay to repeat their advancements. That's important. And a lot of times the parents weren't, or they didn't have a camera at the den meeting. So the pack meeting gives them another opportunity to take a picture. That's important too. With troops and crews, they have something going on every single month. They need to have a court of honor, especially after summer camp with all the merit badges. You gotta have that. One of the critical things to keep in your calendar is day camp. Now, a lot of troops and crews don't, and that's a problem because we need staff at day camp. Make sure that the troop and the crew puts day camp, which is a Cub Scout day program, on their schedules so that they are not at summer camp during the time that they plan to help out at day camp. That's service hours. Very important for rank advancement. Okay? So you need those service hours. Don't schedule over top of them. Day camp is a wonderful thing. Now, PACs are already deciding on what week of day camp they're going to. That is incredible, and you want to make sure that gets scheduled. Now, something on the side, all of the committee meetings and all of the troop fundraisers should also end up on the schedule. It would be a bad idea to leave no weekends available for any fundraisers. You can't plan out every single weekend. So you need at least one a month open so that people can do other things or do fundraising. That's very important. So there's a lot to be juggled and moved around and put into the schedule, and it can be complex. Now, once the schedule has been put together and the planning seminar is over, all of that writing, all of the senior patrol leader or the committee chair, if you're in a PAC, they get all of that information together, and then they'll go over it again with the committee. Now, at that point, that's when they're going to be deciding on budgeting and approving, and that's very important. You have to let your committee have their input on the schedule. Scouting should never be a burden to the members of the troop or crew or PAC. So we have fundraising that happens between the council, and even the unit can do fundraising for their budget, for their calendar that they have put together. So that's one of the big things in scouting. We want scouts to do fundraising. The reason for that is so that they don't get used to parents paying for everything. That's okay occasionally if it's possible, but it's a very bad precedence to set. When is that going to change? If it's not now, if it's going to be like when they're 26, 27, 37, you got to break that habit. It's important that the scout becomes independent and raises the money and has a little bit of what they call skin in the game. They bought into it. They have $1 there that they've earned, and it was hard earned, and they've put it towards their activities to their benefit. It's a big life lesson. So make sure that they have the opportunity to put in on any of the budget and planning. It can be an incredible burden for families that have 3 or 4 scouts plus a leader going to summer camp. That can be immensely expensive. That's something to consider. And maybe the troop needs to think as raising funds for the entire troop so that it lowers the cost of going to summer camp or going on camping trips. That's something that they need to consider. So don't just rely on the parents to pay for everything. We want to make sure that the scouts learn the meaning of thrifty. That's very important, so that they know that if they earn the money, then they can spend it on themselves for their adventure. So that's very, very important. At the end of all of this, the one thing you need to do is communicate. Make sure that you send out the calendar. Send out invites for all of the different things that are going on. That's critical for any unit. Put that together and make sure everybody knows what is expected, what's the budget, how that's going to happen. That's communications. Very important. That's so that we can be friendly courteous, and kind to our parents, kind to our leaders, kind to our scouts. We got to communicate with them our plans and our budgeting and how we're going to fundraise to handle our calendar and adventure. Scouting is an adventure, and you know that, and you do a great job of helping your youth succeed. Having a good plan and going by that plan will help you budget, will help your unit, and you guys and gals are going to shine. And when you do, I swear, the youth are just going to come out of the woodworks, they're going to come out of the woods running after your troop, running after your pack, running after your group, because they want those kinds of fun experiences too. So keep up the great leadership, and I will see you on the trail.